So you wind up the championship still pretty close in '83. At what point did Warner Hodgdon come on board?
End of '83.
Okay.
84. They started putting together the organization called Johnston Hodgson.
How big a deal was that?
Huge. Because it really Junior was all about results. Warner Hodgson was all about the show and the go. And from the buildings that he had built at the farm, Junior's original deal, he built, parts rooms, extra garage stuff. Junior had a bridge that you could go across at one time to the other side of the pasture. And Warner said that wasn't good enough. So he comes out and basically, because, he was into construction, so he basically put a DOT certified bridge across the creek that ran between the two properties, the two shops. 11 was on the original side, I like to say, and then the 12 was on the opposite side along where the parts house and the main office was moved to. And in the process of putting the bridge in, Warner wanted to make it look pretty, like a mountain, like where Junior's place was up in North Wilkesboro, kind of like mountainish. Junior told him, so you're not going to narrow that creek up. All you're going to do is make more flood problems for us, this, that, and the other. So what does Warner do? He has the creek dredged, widened, so where Junior can have the same size creek that was there originally. But then on the banks, he brought in big boulders and lined that creek with those boulders that are still there today, and put in a helicopter pad and everything like that. Just took it to a whole new level. I mean, everything was a lot more Hollywoodish type stuff. The way the cars were painted. We had Double Thunder. Our uniforms were really snazzy and really first line type stuff. I mean, just the both rigs, brand new Kentucky trailers, brand new Peterbilt trucks. Just big step up. As far as the amount of money that we did a lot for the show part of it, not so much just the parts. A lot for the having a number one first class operation. With that, I think we got a little bit overwhelmed with all of that, and we're not as focused on getting the stuff organized and done right, trying to hire the right people for both organizations. And I think it became a little bit more of a distraction for Junior, because he has obviously a partner now. You got a partner that wants the 12 to win as much as we want the 11 to win, so made things a little difficult. And I think that hurt us in '84 as far as our effort for another championship.
That was a time when two-car teams were not the norm.
Exactly.
What was it like, boots on the ground in Engle Hollow? You'd been used to being the only rooster in the hen house, so to speak, for so long.
Everything was contentious.
Okay.
There was friction.
Yeah.
And it didn't get any better, especially when we went to Nashville, and we obviously won the race.
Yeah.
And we didn't get to go to victory lane. I mean, it really stressed us because of that race. And we had another situation that came up at Wilkesboro. Neil was doing his job. He was blocking Darryl, and Darryl wanted to move him, and Junior wouldn't let Darryl move him. Because, Darryl looked at it like, and I think that's one of the things that probably helped lead to the eventual departure from up there, was because all of a sudden Darryl couldn't be Darryl. I had to worry about a teammate. Because, we wound up not winning that race that day because we couldn't move him out of the way.
How did you manage through all that? Because you were the crew chief.
Mm-hmm.
How did you try to keep things on an even keel in your shop?
trying to understand that you got to remember who you work for.
Okay.
Junior was a man. Junior did what he thought was right. We had a great sponsor in Budweiser. I think here again, it's like had a little bit of a politician type feel to it, and trying to be politically correct. You know, you're working for Junior. You know, you don't need to create friction between him and Warner. And at the same time, we were lucky, I think, in the way that, you know, of all the people that we had to choose for a driver for the second car, being Neil Bonnett. Neil's a good guy.
Oh, yeah.
He's a really good guy. And, you know, if you're having an off day, you want him to be the on day. Okay? And you can't get mad at Neil for not giving way to Darryl and not being as good as Darryl. I mean, Darryl was especially at a place like Wilkesboro, and you get him hooked up. I mean, he's hard to handle. And as you saw at Richmond, whenever that one time, you know, him and Earnhardt were racing so hard, it was almost that same scenario. Darryl needed to give him a little help to get under him, you know, and that's something that Junior said, don't you hit that car. And dang it, Junior, he's holding me up. I own both of you. So just sit there, just do what you got to do. And that again, Junior can't lose as long as we don't wreck each other. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I didn't like the end of it, but that's just the way it had to be that day. And you learn how to swallow hard. Because raising Cain about it ain't going to fix it.
No.
It ain't going to fix it. I can't change it, and neither can Darryl. You know, next time we got to be better getting off pit road and get in front of the guy and run away from him.
So you have the dynamic of having Neil as a teammate, and that isn't exactly a popular move. Then in 1985, you win 3 races, which is okay for most mere mortals, but after winning 22 in 2 years,
mm-hmm.
it's a letdown. But you come back and you win the championship. How did you win that championship that year?
Going back to Junior's golden rule, finish every race you start. And that was one of the things that we were able to do. We were up against aerodynamics for the first time. I think it was so glaring. We'd seen it some, but this time it was just unbelievably one-sided.
Yeah.
But NASCAR will tell you that if you have a problem with what's going on with another manufacturer, then switch manufacturers. They put it on you. It wasn't their job to referee a manufacturer's desire what they want to call their race car. And in that time, we were running that notchback Chevrolet against those, what I call a football T-Bird. And, I mean, those things drove themselves because of the way their aerodynamics were. You know, and NASCAR wasn't into going to the wind tunnel to measure that kind of stuff and be the referee about, oh, well, we need to give the Monte Carlo a little bit more here and take a little bit away from the Ford guys. You know, they would do some of that, but not to the degree that they do today. Yeah. I mean, they take cars and deliberately match them up, engine-wise, the whole 9 yards. I mean, they are all about having a level playing ground. And back then we didn't. So you were stuck with whatever, because you'd make choices during the off-season what you wanted to race. You want to run a Buick, you want to run a Chevrolet, you want to run a Pontiac, whatever General Motors had offered up, you could choose between those 3. This is what Ford is offering up. This is what Dodge is offering. We even at one time looked at running a Dodge. We built one, took it to Daytona, couldn't get out of our own way. And Bill France Jr. said, whatever you got to do to that thing, cut on it and try to make it run. And we whittled and cut on everything like we could, and we could not make it go. The old Murata. And we actually came back, and all the sheet metal we had gotten from Dodge trying to get it to go, we gave it to Buddy Arrington.
Wow.
Just couldn't make it happen. So, you know, the times were totally different. And going back to what you're saying about winning the 3 races, we couldn't outrun Bill Elliott. He was good that year. And Bill still had not overcome some mechanical problems that they found themselves in. And I think we got later in the year, you couldn't can't believe these guys won't go away. They just won't go away. So, we won the Winston. We won the 600 the same weekend, one on Saturday, one on Sunday. And that gave us some motivation at the early May to keep digging, to keep doing what we had to do. And by the time we got to Rockingham in the fall and won that race there, it's like we had them they jumping at shadows at that time because we wouldn't go away. We kept nipping at their lead and had gotten within striking distance. And they made some mechanical errors that took them out and gave us an opportunity to win championship.
Now, speaking of the Winston.
Okay, go ahead. I already know what the question is. The answer is no.
Okay, all right. Enough said. Darrell Waltrip, Dale Earnhardt, and the spring Richmond race in 1986.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned it just a few minutes ago. What do you remember about that day?
It was, Richmond always, again, it had been a pretty good racetrack for us as far as Junior Johnson was concerned. And Darryl, like I say, we get everything hooked up. We were, once again, hard to handle. And Earnhardt and his bunch had gotten off the pit road quicker than we did. And he'd run well that day, but late in the race, we'd made some adjustments. And Darryl clearly could get around him. And he was, just saving his stuff. And this is one of the times, if anybody remember pictures of Junior Johnson, most of the time he's standing there with his foot on pit wall looking toward turn 4. And sometimes with a set of stopwatches and sometimes not. But that particular day, I guess he was comfortable with what was going on in the pits, and he didn't feel like he needed to have to be there all the time. To get something clear with me, he needed to proceed. So he'd gotten down and went and got on the back of a wrecker and could see around the racetrack. I asked him, "Can you see everything?" He said, "Yeah, I can see everything." Okay. So he's back there watching the race, and I'm watching and, trying to coach Darryl and give him lap times. Okay, we got so many laps to go, so many laps to go, so many laps to go. So getting a little bit tight here, bud. And Junior finally came on the radio, and he said, "Darryl, stop letting him block you like that. Pass him now." That was what he told Darryl. I said, "Pass him." I said, "Pass him now." And Darryl went down the back straightaway, tried him and going into 3, couldn't quite did it. Got off him a little bit, got a really good run down the front straightaway, and this time Earnhardt didn't have the momentum. He checked just that little bit, I think, try to keep the car under him, and we did. He slid up just a hair, and Darryl got inside of him going into 1. Well, middle of 2, he gets back in the gas, and he's totally up alongside of him. And then once they exited 2, he starts to pull away from him going down the back straightaway. Well, he gets to the back down to the turn 3, and I think Darryl was pretty happy just to kind of like, I'm just going to let him stay on the outside of me. I mean, he can't get under me right there. And all of a sudden, he cuts dead left, and Earnhardt turns us right in the outside wall. I mean, I don't know what else to think, but he wrecked him. And there went our day. I mean, Earnhardt went out. I think Joe Ruttman got into it. Kyle Petty winds up winning the race. And from Junior's vantage point, he sees us trying to limp around there and get back across start finish line. Finish the race. And one of the very few times in my career I remember Junior saying distinctly, "Jeff, take some boys and go take care of your driver." Because I think he thought Darryl was getting ready to get in a fight. Because when he got a shot at Earnhardt, he slammed him back pretty good.
Yeah. And
the thing just wouldn't go anymore, or he'd probably hit him again. So that right there was probably one of the worst days in my career. And I know it probably was to a certain degree with Dale Earnhardt. And here's the reason why. When he tried it, because Dale and I were friends, but I knew when he told me, I didn't mean to wreck him. I knew he lied. Okay? I mean, you've heard him do it
Yeah.
at Bristol a couple times. But that day was just strictly the fact that he didn't like it. Darryl had got under him and beat him up off the corner and was going to win that race. And it's kind of like, he's not going to win that race. I'm going to win that race, or neither one of us are going to win the race. He don't misjudge something like that. Dale is too good to misjudge something like that. I mean, you could have run in the back of us and missed it a little bit, but he hit him hard enough that there was no doubt that he was going to turn him up in that wall. And I told him so. And from that point on, Dale and I never did really get along good.
Really?
Well, I mean, I didn't understand the need for it. You know, why you, and plus turn around and lied at me. I could have took it. Well, I gave him what I thought he needed. Be done with it. But more importantly, I think, was the fact that he tried to go tell Junior the same stuff. And Junior told him, said, just get out of my face and don't you ever come around me. Just stay away from me. I mean, he PO'd the big man. He really did. He did PO him off. I mean, because that was, you know, and Junior was in a position, he saw it all. He saw it, and that was a big, big tear right there between their relationships.
Well, speaking of ticking off the big man, DW gets an offer from Rick Hendrick fairly early that year. How did you find out that he was thinking about leaving?
He came to me and wanted me to go with him.
Right off the bat?
Yeah.
Okay.
But it came with an, oh, by the way, you're not going to be the crew chief. Waddell Wilson's going to be crew chief, and you take care of the car and he'll take care of the engines, but he's going to be the crew chief. Waddell and I had not gotten along since the early 80s.
Really?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know, just we run for a championship, you know, with Allison and everything, and you know, Waddell can be a little bit on the opposite side and opinionated and everything like that. But like I say, I just didn't really like the way our relationship was. And again, I'm not trying to say that I'm an easy guy to get along with, but I just didn't really like the way he said some things and attitude he had to it. So I didn't see that being a good move for me. And I told Darryl, I said, not interested. I'm staying here. Here again, when Darryl made that announcement, Junior started looking for a replacement driver right then. And I think if Terry hadn't been, you know, under contract, we would have probably swapped drivers right at the middle or toward the end of the year before anything else. And here again, we still had a shot of having a decent year and probably maybe, you know, winning a championship. And Darryl wasn't, I mean, not Darryl, but Junior wasn't interested in helping Darryl take that championship and go to Rick Hendrick. So it ended the way it ended. You know, it was not what you would call good. I mean, you probably got some of the quotes that Junior had about, you know, the mule and everything that. So, I don't know, it hurt everybody's feelings because we felt like, you know, that we had given him everything he wanted and needed while he was there, and he was just running off to get the money. But, you know, Rick did something that has a tendency to get everybody's attention, guarantees. Yeah. You know, he guaranteed him to earn $1 million. And at that time, that was unheard of for a driver.
You mentioned the fact that late in the season, Darryl was still in contention. The team was still in contention. You're creeping up a little bit on Dale for the championship. And according to Darryl, he said that he had heard that Junior basically had the team lay down in Atlanta so he wouldn't win the championship. What? I wasn't there. I don't know what happened.
No, we were not. Junior never told anybody to do anything but race.
Okay.
That's it. I mean, that's just, I think, the somebody crying over spilt milk because things didn't go quite right, and we didn't lay down. We didn't lay down. I mean, the thing, if anybody wants to be honest with themselves, whenever you stop doing what you had been doing with a group, the whole group feels like you don't care about them. I mean, I'm just being honest with you. When you go to a racetrack and every time you turn around, where Darryl and Stevie, sometimes we were going to dinner together as a team or doing something like that, all of a sudden Waddell and him are the two going out and doing things. That hurts you. And at the same time, when he had opportunities to go talk to Waddell at the racetrack and that's going on, that hurts you. You know, so some of the energy may not have been there, but it's self-induced. But nobody was given orders to quit. You don't quit. And if you're a racer, you don't quit till the checkered flag drops.
So Darryl does wind up leaving, but the dream team isn't exactly clicking for whatever reasons. How and when did he contact you, or did you contact him to make the move yourself?
Interestingly enough, it was back when, we still weren't overwhelmed as far as with races at that time, and they had like a weekend off. It was prior to going to Riverside, and it's like we went to Pocono, and I had gotten a call earlier in that week that Darryl wanted to talk to me. I thought we were going to get a chance to talk at Pocono, but it didn't happen. So long story short, working with Terry Labonte, and we got up there and we made some changes in the car, but we sat on the pole that day and blew up early in the race. And I remember flying back on our team plane. I was sitting back in the back right there, and I was talking to Shorty Edwards. Shorty Edwards has been around for a long time. Great guy. But I looked at Shorty. I said, Shorty, just want to let you know, I'm probably going to go in on Monday, and I'm going to be leaving. Why are you going to do that? I said, well, I think I need to, because me and Tim Brewer, we gotten rid of the two teams, and we only had the 11, and he and I were kind of like sharing crew chief responsibilities. Wasn't really, getting along like we needed to, and it was confusing for Terry. It was confusing for, I think, everybody involved. And I had this opportunity, and how the opportunity came about was Darryl called me and said, hey, what are you doing? And I said, I'm not doing anything. Why? He said, I need your help. He said, I want you to come join me over here. I said, Darryl, we done been down that road. I'm not going anywhere. He said, well, are you not happy over there right now? I said, no, I'm not happy. But I done told you, I'm not coming over there to work for Waddell. It's not going to happen. He said, no. He said, he and I ain't seeing eye to eye, and I need somebody I can talk to. Well, I thought you said he was so great. He said, well, it ain't turned out to be like we wanted to. All right. So, long story short, he says, I've got it worked out. You're going to come be the crew chief. He's going to wind up being team manager, but he doesn't tell you anything to do and take care of the engines. Are we clear on that? I said, so I'm the crew chief and the car is mine. I do what I need to do. Yep. I just need you to come in here and help me get what I need so I can go race. He said, you need to call Jimmy Johnson. If you remember, Rick had a Jimmy Johnson before there was a Jimmy Johnson. Yeah. He said, call Jimmy Johnson at this number and go sit down and talk to him. And if you don't like what he's got to say, you call me back before you say no. Okay? And I did. Went down and met with Jimmy Johnson, and he showed me around and told me, the general overview of what was going to happen. So I made the decision to go in on that Monday after Pocono and tell Junior that I was going to be leaving him. And I knew that this time, because I was going to leave Junior one time before when Travis Carter went and started the Skull Bandit. And I was going to go with Travis. I enjoyed working with him. And Junior told me he thought that was a bad idea, which, again, Junior's got crystal ball. He's smarter than I am. So I stuck with him and wound up being his crew chief for quite a while. But I knew if I went there and told him that again, it wouldn't he wouldn't try to talk me out of it. I mean, I kind of knew what the circumstances were. So I actually got there at 5 o'clock that morning and loaded everything I needed to load up belonged to me.
Did you really?
Yeah, I did. I knew that whenever I told him it was time to leave, I wasn't going to be coming back and forth or nothing like that. Brought me a trailer up there and started loading everything up my toolbox and all my information and anything I had up there that belonged to me. So I got everything loaded up. And Junior come off the hill about 8 o'clock, and I saw him go to the office across the creek. And I rode over there, pulled the truck over behind the office, and went in and told him thank you. Couldn't say enough about what he had offered me, what he had given me, and what, but I told him I wasn't happy right now. I said, not your fault. I said, it's just circumstances. And he said, yep. He said, you going back to work with Darryl? I said, well, let's go see if you can straighten him out. And the thing about leaving, no harsh words, no point fingers about how sorry I was for leaving him right now and all this other kind of stuff. Again, the friction between me and Tim Brewer at the time was apparent enough that it was going to be better for the 11 team and better for me to go somewhere else. That I guess you might say, not say that I wouldn't want it there, but we were always going to have internal stuff. And but I left there and moved in at Hendrick Motorsports.